Meghan still has not established an identity of her own.
Meghan Markle has come under fire. Prince Philip, he allegedly gave Prince Harry a warning about getting married to Meghan Markle.
4 years, the lives of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have attracted extraordinary public attention. Every interview, every book, and every public appearance has sparked intense debate. Yet from time to time, a story emerges that pushes the discussion into even more controversial territory. This latest controversy centers on claims involving DNA, questions surrounding the Sussex family, and comments made by two of the most recognizable figures in royal commentary, investigative author Tom Bower and royal biographer Lady Colin Campbell. According to reports circulating across royal media, these renewed discussions have allegedly caused frustration behind the scenes and reignited online speculation. But what exactly has been claimed? And more importantly, how much of it is supported by evidence, and how much remains speculation? To understand why this debate has become so heated, it's important to begin with the people making these claims. Tom Bower has spent decades building a reputation as one of Britain's most well-known investigative biographers. Long before writing about the royal family, he examined politicians, business leaders, and powerful public figures, often relying on interviews, documents, and insider accounts. His latest book, Betrayal, generated enormous public interest upon release, becoming one of the year's most talked about royal publications. The book explores numerous aspects of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's relationship with the monarchy, covering everything from palace disagreements to their business ventures after leaving royal duties. Alongside Bower stands Lady Colin Campbell, a longtime royal commentator whose opinions have frequently divided audiences. Through television appearances, interviews, and online platforms, she has spent years discussing royal affairs, often presenting theories and observations that attract millions of viewers. While the two approach royal reporting differently, both have recently revisited questions surrounding the Sussex family that continue to fuel public discussion. One of the central issues involves the birth of Prince Harry and Meghan's first child, Archie. Officially, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was born in May 2019. The birth was announced by Buckingham Palace, and Prince Harry later appeared before cameras expressing his happiness at becoming a father. However, over the years, some commentators have pointed to differences between various public statements regarding the birth. One frequently discussed example involves Meghan's comments about originally hoping for a home birth. Some critics argue that this appeared difficult to reconcile with reports describing the delivery taking place at a London hospital. Supporters of the couple, however, note that birth plans often change unexpectedly. Many parents intend to have home births before ultimately requiring hospital care due to medical advice or changing circumstances. Without official medical records being publicly released, which is entirely normal for private citizens, the exact sequence of decisions remains known only to those directly involved. Another moment that continues to be revisited occurred during Prince Harry's first media appearance after Archie's birth. While speaking enthusiastically about becoming a father, Harry made a remark about how quickly babies change, referencing 2 weeks. Some observers later noticed that Archie had officially been born only 2 days earlier. Critics interpreted the comment as a possible inconsistency. Others dismissed it as nothing more than an exhausted new father misspeaking during an emotional public appearance. Neither explanation has ever been conclusively proven. This illustrates one of the recurring patterns throughout many royal controversies. A single comment, when viewed in isolation, may appear insignificant. But when combined with other unanswered questions, some commentators begin building broader theories that extend far beyond the original statement. Tom Bower's book reportedly revisits these timelines while encouraging readers to examine publicly available information. Importantly, however, the book does not present court-established findings proving wrongdoing. Instead, it raises questions and interpretations based on interviews, reported events, and documentary sources. Lady Colin Campbell has taken a similar approach, suggesting that inconsistencies deserve closer examination. Whether those inconsistencies represent genuine unanswered questions or simply misunderstandings remains a matter of public debate. The conversation became even more intense following the birth of Harry and Meghan's second child, Princess Lilibet Diana, in California in 2021. Unlike previous royal births, the Sussexes were no longer working members of the royal family at that point. As a result, there were fewer official palace announcements and significantly less institutional involvement. Even so, some commentators questioned aspects of the timeline surrounding Lilibet's arrival. Among the stories widely discussed online was an anecdote describing Meghan reportedly stopping for food while traveling to the hospital. To some, it sounded like an amusing personal story shared by new parents. To others, it appeared difficult to reconcile with common expectations surrounding active labor. Medical professionals, however, frequently point out that every pregnancy is different. Labor progresses differently for every woman, making it impossible to draw firm conclusions from isolated anecdotes alone. Another point repeatedly discussed involves the timing of the public announcement. The Sussexes waited approximately 2 days before announcing Lilibet's birth. Critics argued that this differed from traditional royal practice. Supporters responded that Harry and Meghan had repeatedly emphasized their desire for greater privacy after stepping back from royal duties, making a delayed announcement entirely consistent with that approach. Again, neither interpretation definitively proves anything on its own. Yet together, these moments have provided fuel for years of online speculation. Perhaps the most controversial aspect of the discussion involves what some commentators describe as unanswered documentation. Lady Colin Campbell has argued publicly that greater transparency would help end speculation. Others strongly disagree, maintaining that medical records are deeply personal and that neither Harry nor Meghan owes the public access to private healthcare information. This disagreement reflects a much larger question. Where should the boundary exist between public interest and personal privacy? Because Harry remains the son of the king, every aspect of his family inevitably attracts attention. Yet at the same time, his children are also private individuals entitled to protections afforded to any family. That balance has never been easy to maintain. As debate continued, some internet discussions expanded into increasingly dramatic territory, including references to DNA testing and claims regarding succession. However, it's important to emphasize that no publicly verified DNA evidence has been produced supporting these claims. Most discussions remain based on speculation, commentary, and competing interpretations rather than established facts. Nevertheless, the controversy refuses to disappear. Instead, each new interview, documentary, or book seems to revive the same questions once again. And according to those following the story closely, the most sensitive part of the debate may not be the claims themselves, but what some people interpret as silence. As the debate continued to spread across social media, television panels, and YouTube channels, one question kept resurfacing. If so many allegations have been made over the years, why has the controversy refused to disappear? For many observers, the answer lies not in any single claim but in the pattern of discussion itself. Supporters of Prince Harry and Meghan argue that the couple has been subjected to years of relentless speculation, much of it driven by misinformation, selective interpretation, and online conspiracy theories. They believe the Duke and Duchess have every right to protect their family's privacy and should not be expected to respond to every rumor circulating on the internet. Critics, however, see the situation differently. They argue that when public figures leave certain questions unanswered, speculation naturally fills the vacuum. In their view, greater transparency would reduce confusion rather than increase it. This disagreement forms the foundation of almost every recent discussion involving Tom Bower and Lady Colin Campbell. Another subject frequently revisited is the naming of Harry and Meghan's daughter, Lilibet Diana. The choice immediately attracted worldwide attention because Lilibet held enormous personal significance for the late Queen Elizabeth II. It originated as her childhood nickname and was used privately by close family members throughout much of her life. Initially, many media outlets described the name as a touching tribute to both the late Queen and Princess Diana. But not everyone interpreted the decision in the same way. Lady Colin Campbell has repeatedly claimed that some individuals within royal circles viewed the choice quite differently. According to her commentary, the nickname was considered deeply personal, making its public use controversial among certain palace insiders. However, Buckingham Palace has never publicly confirmed such internal reactions in detail. Adding to the discussion were conflicting reports over whether Harry personally sought the Queen's permission before announcing the name. Representatives for the Sussexes stated that he had spoken with his grandmother beforehand. Later media reports suggested that palace sources described the conversation differently. Because both versions rely on unnamed sources, the full details remain disputed. The controversy surrounding the name illustrates a recurring feature of modern royal reporting. Often, there are two competing narratives. One is based on statements from the Sussexes and their representatives. The other comes from anonymous palace insiders or royal commentators. Without official documentation available to the public, audiences are left deciding which account they find more persuasive. Tom Bower's work frequently explores this divide. Throughout his reporting, he argues that many of Harry and Meghan's decisions should be viewed within the broader context of media strategy, branding, and long-term public positioning. Supporters reject that interpretation entirely. They maintain that the couple has simply attempted to build independent careers after stepping away from royal duties while protecting their children from excessive public attention. The difference between those perspectives explains why reactions to Bower's books remain so polarized. Some readers praise his investigative approach. Others accuse him of presenting one-sided interpretations of complex events. Lady Colin Campbell has similarly attracted both loyal supporters and determined critics. Her followers appreciate her willingness to discuss controversial topics. Her opponents argue that many of her conclusions extend beyond what publicly available evidence can support. Perhaps the most legally significant aspect of this debate concerns the absence of courtroom action over some of the strongest allegations. Commentators frequently point out that Prince Harry has not hesitated to pursue legal cases involving privacy, phone hacking, and media conduct. Over the years, he has launched several high-profile lawsuits against newspaper publishers, arguing that inaccurate reporting caused serious harm. Some critics therefore ask why similar legal action has not been taken against every commentator making controversial claims. Others caution against drawing conclusions from that fact alone. Legal experts often note that choosing not to sue does not automatically validate an allegation. Litigation is expensive, time-consuming, and strategically complex. Public figures frequently decide that responding through the courts may only generate additional publicity for claims they consider unfounded. In other words, silence should not automatically be interpreted as confirmation. Likewise, the absence of publicly released medical records should not be interpreted as evidence that something improper occurred. Privacy rights remain a fundamental principle, even for members of the royal family. This distinction is often overlooked in online discussions, where speculation can quickly evolve into assumptions presented as fact. At the heart of the controversy lies a broader constitutional question. Because Harry's children remain in the line of succession, some commentators argue that matters relating to succession carry public significance beyond that of an ordinary private family. Others respond that constitutional status does not eliminate an individual's right to medical privacy or personal dignity. That debate continues among legal scholars, constitutional experts, royal historians, and commentators alike. No court has ruled that the Sussexes must disclose private medical information. Nor has any official investigation publicly concluded that the allegations circulating online are substantiated. That is an important distinction. Many of the claims discussed across social media remain exactly that, claims. Some are based on observable events. Some arise from conflicting public statements. Others rely heavily on interpretation rather than independently verified evidence. Understanding that difference is essential for anyone trying to separate documented fact from speculation. Meanwhile, Prince Harry and Meghan continue pursuing their post-royal careers through media projects, charitable initiatives, and public appearances. Despite repeated controversy, they have generally chosen not to address every allegation individually. Instead, their public communications have largely focused on broader issues such as privacy, family life, mental health, and charitable work. Whether that communication strategy ultimately reduces speculation or unintentionally encourages further debate remains a matter of opinion. One thing, however, is undeniable. The fascination surrounding the House of Windsor remains as powerful as ever. Books continue reaching bestseller lists. Interviews generate millions of views within hours. Documentaries dominate streaming platforms. And every new development is analyzed from countless different perspectives. For supporters of the Sussexes, these recurring controversies demonstrate the extraordinary level of scrutiny the couple continues to face years after leaving royal duties. For critics, they represent unanswered questions that deserve greater clarification. Ultimately, the truth may prove less dramatic than many headlines suggest, or more complicated than either side currently believes. Until new verified evidence emerges, many of the most sensational claims surrounding DNA, succession, and the royal children remain unproven allegations rather than established fact. That hasn't stopped the conversation. If anything, it has ensured that each new book, interview, or public appearance revives the debate all over again. And as long as public interest in the British royal family remains strong, Stories like these will continue to spark discussion, disagreement, and endless speculation across the world. The real challenge for viewers is not deciding which headline is the most shocking. It's learning to distinguish between confirmed facts, informed analysis, anonymous claims, and speculation before reaching a conclusion of their own. Because in the world of royal reporting, those differences matter more than ever.